Okay guys, so Modo drum, it's finally out and here it is, and this thing is unbefreaking-lievable. It's just so realistic, it's ridiculous. So look, I've done a couple of these and it goes on and on. I'm going to try and do a short one, but there's so much to look at. Okay, so here's Modo drum. You've got a bunch of kits. You've got a Yamaha kit, because you've got the tabs across here, right? Model, customise, playstyle, room, mixer, grooves, etc. So model, you choose your basic starting kit. There's a Yamaha kit. These are out of the box. Jazzy kit. Rock custom kit. This is a DW, right? Listen to that kick, man. Oh my god. Grungy, early 80s or 80s, you know, sort of garagey. A gent kit, which has got a monstrous kick. Black Oyster, this is your Beatles kit. Babinga, come on, Babinga. Actually got a mate who had a hand-built, one of the last hand-built Babinga kits from the Sonar factory in Germany, so I got to listen to an original Babinga Sonar kit a lot. Very tight sound. Volume right. Oh, yeah. Plexi kit. This is your John Bonham kit. Extreme, which is like 80s 90s metal kit. And this reference kit, which is, I don't know, what is this, a Premiere or something? Okay, so there you kind of out of the box kits. If we go to the studio Yamaha, whichever kit you load, every kit loads up with in a particular room by default. You can come here and change the room that the kit is in, from small to large, whatever. Different types of reverb, time, darker or brighter reverbs, more or less pre-delay, etc. And you've got a handy, you can just slide this in and adjust the room amount. So I could put it in venue, etc. Right, so every kit loads up with a particular room preset with the amount of room set to a particular amount, right? But you can put any kit in any room and adjust how much room there is, and overheads and all the rest of it. Okay, so if we start with the studio kit, this Yamaha studio kit, and then we go to customize. This is your basic customize, in which you can choose any drum and change it for any of the factory kit drums, right? Kick, snare, and by the way, if you click on top of the snare, you hear the main snare. Click on the side, you hear the rim shot. Any snare from any of the kits. I'll go with that kick, or whatever I like, right? Change your toms, they can all be the same, you can mix and match whatever you like. So I could go with jazzy there, make that a reference, that one a grungy, and this one a plexi, whatever. 4 different toms, or they can be all the same. Yeah, I can, you know, just choose a set of toms, right? Now, but we're still with the basic layout of the kit. Kick, snare, 2 toms, 2 floor toms. If I go into, when I'm in this basic customize, I'm just building a kit from the different parts from all the other kits. But if I go to edit kit, I can now bring in additional parts or take parts out. So I could take out the second floor tom, unenable. It's now gone. Right? I can take out this tom, not that one, not that floor tom, but that tom I can take out. Now I've got a bare bones kit. You can't get a smaller kit than that. You have to have a kick, snare, 1 overhead tom, 1 floor tom. Right? Go back to edit kit. Put that tom back in. Bring this floor tom in. I could bring in a smaller overhead tom. Right? Now I've got 3 overheads, 2 floor toms. Bring in any extra cymbals I want. Bring in a china there. Bring in an extra crash there. Bring in an effect cymbal there. Now I've got more cymbals. Change the cymbals. And beautiful cymbals. The ride, you can click on the bell or the side. Etc. Little splash. Whatever I like. Okay. Hi-hat, 3 different hats. You tend to hear the difference when it's open, not when it's being hit. Because it's just click, click, right? Come on, change. There is a difference when it's closed, but you really hear the difference when they're open. Right? It's a thinner one, the elegance, I think. Right, so. Etc. But that's just the start of it. It gets insane. Choose the kick. Let's go to the mixer first. Solo the kick. Now we'll come to the mixer, but I'll turn the sends off, turn the EQ off, and then switch to overhead room. Turn overheads, turn room off. So we're going to be listening to the raw kick. Okay. Edit element, and you've got all this. Now in the edit element you can choose the kick, the snare, any of the toms, and this is where you get even more detail, right? So you can change the beta type. Now, oh, by the way, there's this velocity control here, and it will just take the notes, whatever's playing in the pattern, whatever the relative velocities are, and it will just reduce them coming in, but they keep the relative velocities to each other, or louder. Okay, so you can change the head, coated or clear. Clear is a finer sound. Coated, you get more of a thump. Okay, you can reduce the volume of the outer head. Increase it. Reduce the damping. Tune it. Same with the front head. Let's dampen that right down and reduce its volume. I can reduce the damping on the beta head. Dampen it down. tune it, adjust its volume relative to the front head, etc. The shell can be changed, the edge of the shell, whether it's pointed. Let's just reduce the damping on these a bit. Whether the edge of the shell has a very sharp point. It changes the tuning subtly and also the sound a little bit. So pointed, sharp, or rounded. Right, it makes the skin resonate less the more rounded it is. Changes the pitch as well, but the diameter of the shell can be changed too. I can go for a very small tom, kick, or very small but with a very deep diameter, big, shallow, whatever I like. It's absolutely bonkers. And then here you can adjust how much you're feeding into the overheads, but to do that we need to solo the overheads and solo the master. We're going to get the other drums through it? No. So what the hell? Why would it do that? Okay, look, let's take it out of solo for this. So yeah, I can add no overhead at the moment, or more and more overhead, whatever I like. Room, etc. But all that can be done on the mixer. If you choose overhead room, every drum has a send to the room and overhead. Switch it on, how much do you want to the overhead, how much do you want to the room, etc. Right? Right? But also you can, let's go back to the mixer and this is not going to work if I'm soloing, is it? So I've got to go into the pattern to do this. Sorry about this, but it's got to be done. Let's mute everything apart from the kicks. Back to here. So room, and obviously you can change the room the kit is in, so let's put it, at the moment it's in the big venue, let's put it in the booth. Room, overheads. Right, but you've got this, how much the kick makes the toms ring. A lot or not at all? I mean, the toms are not, yeah, there's so. Okay, so you can adjust how much the kick makes the toms ring and how much it makes the snare buzz. Now the snare is sounding weird because the snare has got a send effect. No, it's turned off. Why is it? Let's turn those off. Yeah, how much the snare buzzes or not. And how the snare buzzes depends how you got the snare set. If I go to the snare and increase the sound of the bottom head, you hear more wire, right? It's just nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. Let's go back to the kick. So yeah, how much the kick makes the snare buzz, how much it makes the toms ring. You can do all that as well. It's insane. Now, once you've customized this kick, which is the Black Oyster kick, right? You can save that as a preset. I can call it Oyster Thud or something, right? Save. Dampen it more. Right, that'll do. But let's have it a coated head. Bit boxy now. Okay. Let's keep it like that, let's say. And then I'll save that again. Oyster thud, save, overwrite, yes. Now, if I'm building a kit, when I'm in customize, I can just replace any drums with any studio drums. So once I go into edit kit and I go and I choose the oyster kick, like if I choose the gent kick, right click, there's no preset. Choose the oyster kick, right click, and there's my presets that I've made. Oyster deep 1 and oyster thud. So when you're in this edit kit mode, any drum that you have created a preset for, right click and those presets will be available per drum, not all mixed up together. So if you loaded the oyster kick, only oyster kick presets you've created will be available, etc. And the same for the tom, the same for the snare, right? That's the kick. It's the same with the snare. You can adjust the shell size, the shell depth, the edge, whether it's sharp, rounded or pointed, clear or coated head, the tuning, the damping of the top and bottom head, the snare wires, large or medium, how much the tension is, how much you hear the bottom head, room, overheads, and also how much it makes the toms buzz. Let's go back in and edit that pattern again. Let's unmute the snares and mute all the kicks. Now we've got some room. Let's take the room down. So how much it makes the toms ring? It's subtle, but you can hear them, right? Now you can't hear them at all. Different snare wires, large snare wire. Hear it less, more tension, less level, damp it less, more, etc. The depth, the size rather, depth. It's just insane. And again, when you've created a preset for this particular snare drum, the gent, I can save that and it'll only be available when I'm in edit kit and I choose the gent snare, right click, and if I've created presets for the gent snare, those presets will be available, etc. Right? It's just insane, this thing. Absolutely ridiculous. And the same for the toms. Let's take this floor tom here. Let me just edit my pattern. Let's take that row of hats and unmute them and put them on a tom. Is that the floor tom? Is that it? Yeah, let's take the snare out. Come on. Trying to work fast here because there's a lot. And again, I can use that velocity thing. Let's just reduce this down to that pattern without the hats. In fact, let's take out every other. Come on. So, edit element, my tom, same thing, adjust the shell diameter, the depth, whether it's got rounded, pointed or sharp, edges on the shell, clear or coated head. It's finer. And with the toms, you get this, as I said, this modulating of the fundamental frequencies. It's so incredibly realistic. It's just unbelievable. And the other thing is, this is really cool. You can edit your toms as a group or individually. So you can tick that, and then all your toms, you're editing the damping, tuning, etc., the same. You've got your room and overhead down here. Etc. Yeah. The cymbals, you don't get this edit element because, I mean, the cymbals, well, you do get edit element, but you can't save presets for the like you can for the individual drums. With the cymbals, all you've got in edit element is the damping, tuning, room, and volume, right? Etc. Right? It's amazing. But that's not the end of it. No, trust me, it's not. Let's go back here to the pattern. Mute all those. Mute. Come on, select. Mute them all. Select. Mute them all. Come on. Oh, fuck me. Come on. Select all of them. Mute them all. Open up all the snares. Yeah, just the snares. Now, you've also got play style. This is just bonkers. Snare, toms, or kick. So we go with the snare, which I've got isolated. Now, I'm going to adjust the velocity. That's for the whole pattern coming in. So soft, louder. Now, I haven't figured out how the right and left stick work. I can't get the right stick to work, but I can get the left stick to work. There's no manual. I don't know how the right stick gets brought in. But let's move that one out of the way. But the left stick, the main snare stick, if you stick it in the middle with a very small area like that, the drummer will consistently play wherever you place it. So right in the middle, the drummer will always play there. Really, really accurate. Let me just go to the mixer, snare. There's some, no, a little bit of overhead on there. Let's take that down a bit. Right, the drummer's always going to play there, or here, or right on the rim. But if I put it back in the centre and then increase the area, the drummer's going to play variations around that area. And if you listen, you'll hear subtle differences in the hits. It's not crassly done like every other hit is more or less. It really does randomly vary the hits around this area. Hang on, that's the tom channel. There's the snare. Turn the... There's some effect on there, isn't there? Yeah, turn that off. Now, can you hear it? There's subtle variations going on, but always playing around this area. Sometimes here, whatever. Move it across here, then the drum's going to play variations around this part of the head. Sometimes nearer to the rim, sometimes further away. Now, this is nothing to do with the velocity of notes. That also affects the drum. And the overall velocity can be adjusted for all notes coming in, but they retain their relative velocities. So if I get these notes here and let's make that one louder, that one softer, that one softer still, you'll get variety with the velocity. Yeah, but there's, you know, if you make the velocity all the same, it's 100. 100. 100. 100. Now they're all exactly the same velocity, but you'll still hear variations. Move it right to the rim here now. The drummer is going to play variations from the very edge of the rim into here. But if you want a drum to play really tight on the rim all the time, reduce the area and bring it right to the rim. Or wherever you want him to play, or her to play. That is genius, because it just adds that subtle variation in hit, which just makes it that much more realistic. Absolutely incredible. Further to that, you've got what type of tip the sticks have and how loud you hear the tips. Let's put it up so you can really hear it. This is no tip. Nylon tip. You can hear that clickiness of the nylon, and the wood tip is less clicky, but more than no tip. And you can adjust how loud you hear the tip noise. It's just staggering. But that's not all. If I put this here, right in the centre, there'll be variation around that centre. Then we go here to control, snare, enable position control. I've put it on MIDI CC1. Then I can go into my pattern, choose MIDI controller 1, which is modulation, and I can put in variations on the snare hits, which will cause this to move out to the rim, into the centre, wherever I want. So let's reduce it a bit, and let's put in, so the first hit right in the more towards the centre. Second snare hit here, let's have it right up on the rim, nearer to the rim. Next snare hit, come on, somewhere in between the rim and the middle. And then the final hit there, up back towards the rim again. So this snare hit will be in the centre. This one will be right on the edge of the rim, or it'll move this over here like that. That one will be halfway, and that one will be whatever. And on top of that variation you've put in yourself of where the drummer's playing on the head, if you make this a large area, there'll be variations of these themselves whenever they trigger. So you can do that. You can manually put in changes in where the drummer's hitting the snare using controllers if you want. It's bloody incredible. Absolutely incredible. And you've got that same control for the hi-hats to enable aperture with continuous control, how wide the hats are. Same with the toms. Enable position control for the toms, where the tom is being hit on the head. Yeah? But remember to turn it off, because if you close and open Modo drums, even if you close the entire door, it remembers that you've switched this on, and then you're moving this around and it's not working, and you're like, what the hell? It's because you set it to control. Okay, so remember to turn it off. But you've got the same thing on the toms. With the toms, same thing. Variation of the hits, right? Always on the edge, always on the centre, more variation in the centre, more variation halfway, more variation on the edge, etc. And with the kick, you get, let's go to the, what's happening with the pattern, right, let's mute the snares, unmute the kicks. With the kick, you can play heel up or heel down. You get less thwack with heel down. And what beta type? Felt, plastic, or wood? Yeah, I mean, my God. And that's on top. That's on top of all the... That's on top of all the customization you can do to the drum itself. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. Okay, next, the mixer. Let's quickly look at the mixer. Okay. Every channel, including the two effects return channels and the overhead and room channel and the final master output, all have an EQ at the top fixed. It's the same on every channel. And you've got up to 8 bands. Right? Bands can be selected and switched on and off. Right? Frequency gain Q. You can choose a band. It can be a low cut, low shelf, peak, high shelf, high cut. Remove a band. Dum, 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 dum. It removes them in the order they're put in. Alright, so if I take that out, put 1 in, 2, 3, 4, take them out, 4, 3, 2, 1, etc. Yeah? Can't save presets for these, but they get saved with the kit. Because this is all part of the kit you're creating. You choose the drums, edit them individually, set up your mix, room amount, how much each drum's being sent to the room, how much each drum's being sent to the overheads, how much each drum is being sent to either of the effects. Because if you choose overhead and room, the two sends are for each drum, how much it goes to the overhead, how much it goes to the room, plus off and on for each of those sends. If you choose effects, then these switch to be two auxiliary sends going to these auxiliary returns. Now the auxiliary returns can have 4 effects stacked in series. They have the EQ at the top as well. Every channel can have 4 effects stacked in series. The master out can have 4 effects stacked in series. And the overhead and room can have 4 effects stacked in series, as well as the equalizers as well. And your effects are the same for every channel, whatever type of channel it is. You've got a parametric EQ, 4 different types of compressor, including an LA2A and an 1176. They're not fully featured, right? And this is an SSL 4000 channel compressor. These are all based on the emulations in the T-Rax effects, which are mind-bogglingly good. They're really good. Then you've got 4 distortion types. These are all from IK Multimedia's 4 different reverbs they sell as individual plugins. They do a plate, a room, an inverse and a hall plugin. These are all really good reverbs. Delay, tape delay, then modulation effects, phaser, chorus, flanger. Okay, the same effects for every type of channel. Now, at the bottom of each, you've got a fader for every channel, pan, mute, solo, and phase reverse. At the bottom, every channel can be sent to a DAW output, or to you can create a bus. So I could scale my toms and send them all to bus 1. I could write bus 1, and once I've created the first bus, I can create a second if I like. So I'm sending all my toms, well, my 3 overhead toms, to bus 1. Now if I bring in buses, there's my bus. All the toms are arriving here. I can send out the 2 auxiliary returns with these sends. Level, pan, mute, solo, phase, reverse. And the bus itself can go by default to the master out or to a DAW output. Yeah. It's quite comprehensive for a little internal mixer, but of course you can set Modo drums up in different ways. Right, let's make an instrument track. So when I go to put Modo drums on, I can have it mono output, stereo out, multi out, 16 mono outs, multi out 1 stereo out and 15 mono outs, multi out 8 stereo and 8 mono outs, or multi out with 16 stereo outs. Right. But at the moment I'm running it in stereo mode. Yeah, it's just, this thing is phenomenal, man. It's just ridiculously good. Just ridiculously good. It's so realistic. You've got to really just focus on a tom and listen to the way that the ring decays, and the resonant what are they called? Fundamental frequencies, the way that they're different for the upper and lower head, and the way that they modulate, and the pitch changes and the modulation between them. You know, that, oh man, it's just so realistic. It's utterly ridiculous. And finally, that leaves the grooves. You've got this built-in pattern thing. Any pattern, right? Like rock, verse. Here's all my rock verses. Or I could look at rock verses that lead with a closed hat. That's keeping the time. Or the open hat keeps the time. Oh, it's in 2 times. Hang on. I've got sync to door on, so it's syncing to the door's tempo of 120. Otherwise, its internal tempo for this pattern is 130. So that is the open hat keeping time. These are patterns with the closed hat keeping time. I've got double time, half time, and then I just drag the pattern to the track. I can import the tempo or not, and there's my pattern. Yeah, easy peasy, right? So you've got a shitload of patterns, man. Loads. Rock, loads of patterns, loads and loads of patterns. Pop, loads of patterns. Soul, loads of patterns. I haven't even tried these. What's this? Nice Tamla thing there. So let's go to the kit and change it for the 60s kit. Here we go. Etc. Oh. Jazz, tons of patterns. Country, tons of patterns. Ballads, loads of patterns. Blues, loads of patterns. Metal, loads of patterns. Latin, patterns. Funk, patterns. Reggae. I haven't tried these. Etc. And all these patterns can be dragged and dropped, including loads of fills. Can be dragged and dropped onto the door. Absolutely brilliant. But I haven't found a way of stringing the patterns together to make a song, because Modo Drum will work as a plugin like this, but you can be used standalone as well. But I haven't found out how to string these together into a song, if that can be done, and I can't figure out in the play style how the right stick is brought in. Can't figure that out at all. There's no manual. But there you go. That's Modo Drums. This thing is just mind-blowingly good, and one of my favourite features is the ability to just reduce the velocity or increase the velocity without having to go into the pattern and change all the notes. You just keep the pattern with the relative velocities of the notes and just say, well, I want the drums to respond less, more, play louder, play less loud, with the same pattern, and all the notes in the pattern will have their relative velocities to each other, but the drums will just be played quieter, medium or louder. It's just genius, man. That is, what a great addition. Yeah, so there you go. That's the quick one, right? I mean, you know, I could go on and on and on about this thing, but it is staggeringly good. I don't think I've missed anything really. It's just outrageous. They've done it again. IK Multimedia have done it again, haven't they? Come on. I mean, their effects are superb. All the T-Rax effects. Their emulations of classic old gear are incredibly good. Amplitude is just so realistic. You just can't tell you're not playing a real Marshall or whatever. The Modo bass is staggeringly good. Staggeringly good. I'll tell you what, let's move that out of the way. That pattern. What's this pattern here? Let's hear it. Right, okay, so there's a pattern. Here's Modo bass. Let's just put Modo bass on here quickly. Come on. And then, come on, let's put a pattern in. 2 bars long. Let's get Modo bass and switch it to pick mode. And I'll just whack in a pattern for Modo bass. Let's turn the controller area off. Not such loud velocity, please. There we go. And then copy that over. Perfect drums and bass backing. That snare though, the snare, whoop, come on, get up back up. There's a snare, send effects, no send effects, a lot going to the overhead, so let's turn that down. That's the SSL bus channel compressor there. Snare, let's have some variation to the snare playing. It's closer to the edge. It's just, this thing's bloody amazing. Absolutely incredible. So, dampen the top head. Let's make it a coated head a bit harder, a bit more loud. More tension, less bottoms, so we hear less of the wire. Do you know what I mean? It's, man almighty, this thing is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's just insanely good. I love the way that the drums get hit so you can see what's being triggered. So let me change that and then go to edit element, and I'm just going to dampen that crash. And then I go to the kick, edit element. Let's make the toms ring less, but more snare buzz. Tighten up the damping on that kick, give it a coated head, which combined with the wooden beater is really clicking, felt. Yeah, it's insane, this thing. It's absolutely incredible. More overheads on the kick. Let's tell you what. Let's change that snare. Let's go with the Babinga tight piccolo. Now, that is now making this fizz, right? So go back to the kick. And let's not let it buzz the snare so much. Dampen the bugger down. Lovely. Play style. Snare. More centered. Overall more velocity. You know what I mean? You can go on and on. This thing is mind-blowing. And remember, every single drum can be mixed on your own DAW channels with your own plugins. Whew. Okay. And remember, it works standalone. I hope that's useful. Check it out because it's on deal at the moment. I think it's €299 on introductory deal. This thing is just unbelievably good. And I hope that's useful. And any comments, add them below in the comments. And I'll see you for the next one.